Hey dudes and girls, we're coming at you with a Boulder Shoulders workout. Trying to build those delts, buff dude style. We're gonna start this workout off with just a little bit of mobility and warm up. We're gonna start off with some pass-throughs. We're just using a band, but you can also use a bar long enough to make sure your hands are wide enough so that way you can pass it up and over your head all the way to your lower back, and then again, all the way over to the front of your body, just so that you get the full range of motion. You're warming up the shoulder joint. We're also doing some pull-aparts with the band, just firing up those rear deltoids, making sure they're ready to stabilize the movement of a good heavy press. As you can see, Hudson's doing some external rotations, getting the rotator cuff fired up and ready to support the weight that we're gonna be pressing overhead. If you wanna see a full video on our mobility and warm-up, well, just click on the link. Okay, so first exercise of this workout is going to be the push press. This is very similar to the overhead press. What you want to do is have your feet about shoulder width apart. Your hands are going to be placed just about shoulder width or maybe possibly a little bit wider, making sure the forearms are going to be vertical to the floor. And what you got to remember is, this is the phrase you got to remember, is dip, drive, and press. Dip, drive, and press. So you're dipping down, you're bending at the knees. You're only going to be coming down about 3 to 6 inches. And then you're gonna drive, so you're gonna drive upwards with your legs, and then you're gonna be pressing at the same time, pressing through the shoulders to get the weight all the way up to the top, locking out the top position and contracting the traps. So it's very similar of the overhead press and the motion of the shoulders. So you are gonna lock out the top and be a nice contraction in the traps to help support the weight that is held above. The one good thing about this exercise is you can go really heavy because now the legs are going to be involved. So you're pushing more weight than you're actually used to, or especially that the shoulders are used to on their own. So with an overhead press, it's a little bit more isolated through the deltoids because the deltoids are doing all the work from the stationary placement of the bar on the chest. With the push press, you're allowing the legs to help out a little bit in the beginning portion of the exercise, and you're pushing the rest through the deltoids. So it's almost kind of like a self-spotter where you're pushing through a weight that you're not necessarily used to. So you can really pack on the pounds on this one. One thing you got to remember as well on this exercise, the push press, is keep your elbows a little bit higher, and the bar is going to be resting right on the clavicle. If the elbows dip too much, the bar is going to want to roll off your chest, and you're going to be pushing, instead of at a 90-degree angle, you're going to slightly push it more of a 45, which is the wrong positioning that you want to be pressing at. Elbows are down, you're going to frown. Elbows up, well, that's good luck.
Something important to keep in mind with the push press is you want to reset when you're finished with the press. So as Brandon said, what you want to do, dip, drive, press. Then you want to bring it down, restart back to the clavicle, elbows high, then dip, drive, press, then reset it back to the clavicle once again and get ready to do it again. So you don't want to just press up and then already begin to dip. You want to press, bring it back down, reset into the beginning position, and then dip, drive, press once again.
So we're going to be doing a drop set in the lateral raises. As you can see, the dumbbells are laid out for us. They're incremental 5 pounds, and it's dropping 5 pounds per dumbbell. So it's 35s, 30, 25, 20, and then down to 15 pounds. We're going to start with the heavier weight, and we're going to hit until failure. So we're hitting around 12 to 15 reps on the 35 pounds. And I'm twisting the dumbbell slightly to get a little bit more activation in the deltoid fiber. So I'm starting out with palms facing outward and then twisting it through the motion where my thumbs are facing down, just to kind of hit a little bit more of the fibers throughout the deltoid. You don't have to do this, but you get a little bit more burn this way. And immediately once you burn out in that weight, you're gonna drop down to the lighter weight, continue the motion, get as many as you can. As soon as you reach failure, you're gonna drop again, and then again, and then again. This is completely exhausting the deltoids, specifically trying to isolate the lateral heads of the deltoid to really create that nice width in them and get that Boulder shoulder look. So this exercise and this technique, we really believe in to pack on the pounds on these delts. And as you can see, it does take a lot of energy to get through this set as well. And we're doing 3 sets of this too. So it's gonna take a lot, but what you wanna do is train till failure on each lift on this one. And this is really gonna completely exhaust you. It's gonna burn a lot of calories, and it's gonna involve a hell of a lot of muscle fibers in the process too, and create a lot of growth.
The buff dude dumbbell drop set of doom. This one kicked our ass, but you know what? When you're in the gym, you gotta kick your own ass every once in a while or someone else will. Never feel too comfortable in the gym. You gotta remember to push yourself. You gotta remember to get that sweat on. You see a lot of people in the gym, they're going through the motions, they're taking 2 to 3 minutes between every set to check their phone. That is not what this is all about. It's about getting in there and kicking your ass for 60 to 90 minutes. And that's exactly what we're doing now. You gotta learn to love the pain.
Now that we got isolation of the lateral heads out of the way, we're gonna go back to a compound movement, actually 2 compound movements with a superset. The first one starting off, we're gonna be doing a single arm press. With this one, I'm utilizing a kettlebell where Hudson is hitting it with the dumbbell, just to show you guys that there is alternate versions depending on which one feels more comfortable for you and which one you like more. I do like the kettlebell because it just adds a little bit more instability because the weight is not perfectly distributed between the arms, so you kind of got to use a little bit more stabilizers once you push it above. But a dumbbell works just as good. So we're going to be hitting those. Around 12 reps on each side, and then we're immediately going to superset it with a modified version of the face pull. So you're going to get about a 20-degree incline on a bench. You're going to lie face down so your chin is above the edge of the bench, and then you're going to grab the bar about shoulder width, maybe wider, and you're going to pull it up to about face level. You don't necessarily have to hit the forehead level. You can hit about chin level or even like nose level depending on your comfortability in your shoulder joint. And you really want to pull it nice and high and get a good squeeze. Keep those elbows up. So really lead with the elbows on this one. Squeeze the scapula together at the end position, and that's really going to hit those posterior delts and also the traps as well. A lot of questions people ask is, do you work traps on back day or do you work traps on shoulder day? We like to include traps on shoulder day a little bit more just because they're a little bit more involved in the shoulders. They really help elevate and depress and anything in the scapula to do with the scapula. So it's really involved in the shoulder joint. So we like to do shrugs, and shrugs are an amazing exercise to help isolate those traps. So what you want to do is just really visualize bringing those deltoids up to the ears, get a really good squeeze and contraction in the very top position, and then slowly let it down to the bottom position. And you can even get a nice hold at the top position to really contract those traps as much as you can, and just keep that hold until you can't hold it anymore and then let it drop. And we are supersetting this with bent over reverse flies or bent over reverse lateral raises depending on how you know them. And what you want to do is don't really concentrate on straightening the back too much on this one. We're going to take it a little bit light, but what you're going to do is bend over, feet together. Your palms are going to be facing each other in the beginning position, and as you pull it nice and wide to the body, rotate those thumbs downward and get the full contraction of those posterior delts. And the good thing about supersetting these two together, you're really going to feel it in the traps as well. So they're still working throughout that range of motion, and you're really retracting the scapula once you bring those weights out to the side, so those traps are really involved through the bent over reverse flies.
Reading through the comments on our last video, we saw a lot of questions about the amount of sets we do, and we read quite a few comments saying, isn't the amount of sets you're doing on our biceps and triceps video, wasn't that too much? No, it was not, and the reason being is because when you're like me and Brandon and you've worked out for years and years, naturally you're going to want to advance and progress, and that's what promotes muscle and strength growth. As a beginner, you're not going to necessarily want to do the amount of sets only because your body isn't used to it, and it's really basically learning to swim, learning to drive, learning to play guitar. You're going to want to slowly get into it and slowly progress and advance and learn. It's the same equivalent of benching. You may start at 145 pounds, but you're not just going to want to bench 145 pounds for the rest of your life, and that goes right into plateaus like we've gotten other comments for. You're going to want to break through those plateaus, you're going to want to get better, and you're going to want to eventually do more sets than what you did when you first started out. Another great important thing to remember as you begin to up your sets and you begin to up your intensity and the amount of weight you're pushing around in the gym is you're only in the gym an hour or two a day, and a lot of it depends on what you're doing outside the gym. It's fueling yourself with food, and it's proper rest and recovery with the amount of sleep. So naturally, if you push it hard in the gym, you want to take that into account outside of the gym as well. Get that fuel, get that food, and remember that proper amount of rest, because that's really going to matter, especially as you begin to up that intensity. A lot of people forget that, and they're doing way more sets than they normally did when they first started out, but their diet is not in check at all, and they're not getting that proper amount of sleep, and they're going, I actually think I'm doing more bad than good, which sadly in a lot of cases, they probably are. And that is overtraining, which you do not want to do. So if you push it harder in the gym, just take that into account. That's like a lot of days when we hit it heavy, we up our carbs, we up our calories for the day, and on our rest days, that's why we lower it. We're just taking into account what we did in the gym that day, and it directly reflects what we're eating. So if we have a really hard day in the gym, we sleep for about 18 hours. Okay, not really. We sleep for about 15.
We just want to say thanks for the suggestion of the shoulders workout. We also saw that you guys really want to see a back workout, which we're going to be doing soon. And also look for some new videos that we're going to go over every single body group and really kind of give in detail of what they do, the proper movements, and the muscles involved in certain exercises. So thanks again, dudes and girls, and we will see you next time. All right, stay buff.